If the agent can't understand your value, it's likely that your buyers won't either. It rewards clarity and penalizes fluff.
Welcome back to Revenue Remix Roundtable. I'm Summer Paletti, founder of Us, where I help SaaS and fintech teams fix stalled revenue growth and build systems for predictable, sustainable growth. And for this one, we are doing something a little different. I sourced a handful of trends and predictions from some of the most respected firms out there. I study McKinsey, Forrester, Gartner, Harvard Business Review. Even though I don't work with bajillion-dollar global clients, like I help my clients stay ahead of their competitors. But then even the best get it wrong. So we're going to punch up a little bit. And I am joined again by my three best collaborators. And again, if you're watching in January on YouTube, you are going to know our secret. We recorded this on the same day. Remember the shirts. So I've got with me Sean Parnell, CEO of Innovaxis, Dave Lee, founder of Do What Works, and Jenny K. Pollock, co-founder and co-CEO of Women XAI. Welcome back. Now, here's how it's going to work. I will read a quick setup on each trend that I chose, and then I'm going to ask crystal ball or BS and why. I'll call in order, and then I'll go last just because that's the way this goes. And then let's see, I'm going to timestamp this because we're recording to avoid the holiday rush, just in case something already blows up and we look like we got it wrong. We are recording this on December 3rd, and it's going to drop mid-January. So let's get into it. Trend number one comes from Forrester, their 2026 B2B marketing, sales, and product predictions. It was published October 27, 2025, so pretty fresh. Analysts are predicting that by 2026, a meaningful chunk of B2B buyers will use AI agents to research vendors, compare options, and even help negotiate. Long before a human seller is invited into the process. The idea is that we're heading toward agent-to-agent sales. As a sales leader, yikes, where your sales team is really selling to a buyer plus their AI sidekick at the same time. Crystal ball or BS? Sean, I'd like you to go first on this one.
Well, a lot of that's already happened or is happening. So I think where it starts sounding like BS is the latter half of that, where unless you're putting pricing information out on the web which is not usually the case unless it's e-commerce or it's software sales. A lot of software companies will put pricing out there, pretty transparent. AI is not going to have access to that. So that's where, the human interaction is unavoidable if you want to get that information. Now, you can certainly ask ChatGPT and the other LLMs about what do I do in this situation? And it can chime in, and maybe it's good advice, maybe it's horrific advice. But I do think the sidekick is a good way to put it. As David has talked about, people are increasingly using those for all kinds of research to find out how to solve their problem, then who's best to solve it, what can be found about pricing. Maybe it pulls bits and pieces from different places. But at some point, you're going to have to talk to a person. And then it can, though, help you in discussions with those people. So I could see it helping with negotiations, but agent-to-agent negotiations is hard to imagine at this point. But maybe there are some individual cases of that.
Okay, thank you for that take. Okay, Jenny, you next. Crystal ball or BS?
So I think it's part crystal ball. And because of all of the information out there, AI is definitely playing a role in the sales cycle. And buyers don't necessarily want the robots to do the negotiation and decisioning for them, but they're so overwhelmed. So they're going to lean in when they can to have AI give them a way to filter through this noise and help validate claims. And then they will talk to a human. What I'm planning for my fractional chief marketing officer clients in 2026 is pretty simple. You want to be building your content and product pages for both human and AI reader. Your data has to be clean, has to be structured, has to be clear so the agents can pull accurate summaries. If the agent can't understand your value, it's likely that your buyers won't either. And we were talking about this back in December is, hey, it rewards clarity and penalizes fluff. So be thinking about that as you're working on stuff.
I like that. Okay, Dave, crystal ball or BS?
Yeah, I pretty much think it's crystal ball until the very last. Let me see if I can give you guys a framework. When buyers are going through their purchasing process and they've decided I need someone to help me solve this problem, they have to go through. There are three jobs that need to be done. Job number one is I need to find vendors. Job number two is okay, I got this list of 50 vendors. I don't want to talk to every single one of them. I need to build a short list. And then once I have the short list, job number three then is to validate the vendors. Increasingly, jobs one and two are going to be done in AI. Finding vendors, shortlisting vendors, that'll be done in AI. But the third piece, validate, that's going to be a human to human interaction. That's where trust, relationships are being built. That's when site visits, demos, meeting the team. I think for a while, that's going to be a human to human interaction. So part crystal ball for the first two jobs, find vendors, shortlist vendors. Kind of BS on the third one of validate vendors. I think that's still going to be a human to human interaction.
Yeah, I agree to some degree. So, big surprise. I'm always the biggest sass in the room. I think it's Captain Obvious on the first part because we're already doing that. So, I'm going to call BS there because, like, that's not a trend or prediction. That's like, hello, we're here. Anyway, and that whole, like, they lost me with negotiate because if I think about, like, is any vendor going to put their pricing? It is really difficult to get SaaS vendors to put their pricing on their website. But then also somewhere buried in the back of things I don't understand on websites, like the discount parameters that we're going to allow, like without that, you can't negotiate. And then like the terms, if I'm thinking about SaaS, there's virtually nobody just signs the contract. So then you're going to have the contract out there? And then also the terms you're willing to wiggle on and what you're willing to, like, no, just no. So, yeah.
Well, and we've seen some trouble with pricing on the consumer side of things. I think there were a few cases actually where an AI quoted an incorrect super low price. And that's going through the courts now. And it'll be really interesting to see where that nets out.
Ooh, interesting. Mm-hmm.
On the other hand,
Yeah.
I would make an argument of companies really need to start thinking about putting price on their website. I mean, price, when is it not a decision factor? And when buyers are researching and that's going to be one of the questions they ask AI, like, what's the price of this SaaS versus that SaaS? Or option A or option B? Even if you have a starting at, they're going to want to know the price range.
Yeah.
When you buy a car, sorry, I used to work for Toyota Motor Sales, so everything is a car to me. You may not know the exact price of a car, but you know the price range of a Toyota Corolla, a Toyota Camry, or a Lexus. People want to know what the price ranges are. And that's going to be part of the making the shortlist. Because if I had everything else being equal and I saw one vendor half of the price and the other one didn't, transparency, trust, I'd go with the one that said price on the site.
100%. Yeah, or the person who doesn't list it, I'm gone. Unless I really, really need that thing and no one else has an even remotely similar thing, you lost me. I totally agree.
Well, I just want to piggyback on that. Putting range is really good. And since the dawn of product management, side-by-side comparisons are great because that's what buyers are trying to piece together on their own. So if you can help them do that with published information from other alternatives, direct or indirect competitors, that's really good for AI to research as well as buyers. And that often they just want to be in the ballpark so that they know if you're $1,000,000, 100,000, 10,000, $10, then that's a qualifier. So I think that's really good. And I'll take it a step further. There is a huge trend in just e-commerce in general and B2B. So more and more, like manufacturers have been scared of pissing off their channels and have been reluctant to do it. Distributors have been slow to adopt e-commerce. Those that do adopt it, both parts, there are ways to address distribution channel issues with e-commerce by selling at list price is a good way to start. But that's becoming huge. And I'll take it further. E-commerce for services. Now you can, if it's more of a commoditized sale or more of an entry level sale, you can configure things. Typeform is a tool we like to use where we did this for Lloyd's Register, where if it was a very basic ISO certification, 9001, one location, like less than 30 employees, things like that, they can, through a series of questions, can then get to a quote and you can pay for that service right there online. So I think that for the more commoditized products and services, certainly more in products, but even services, that e-commerce, because there are people that don't really want to deal with a salesperson at all. So then your content has to do all the heavy lifting, and then you may even need to give them that option to buy directly without any human interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way,
Spot
I
on.
say this as a person who's worked in sales for a long time. Sales folks, it's your fault. That is all. And I'm going to add a little nuance to there. I like where you took it, Sean, because I work with people who are coming out of their scrappy startup phase and they're getting ready to scale. And so what that sometimes means is you were in your beggars can't be choosers era and you took anybody at whatever price they were willing to pay. And then when I tell people put your pricing on your website and they're like, well, our current clients will see that it doesn't match what they have. At a minimum, you put starting at or minimum investment or something. You have to put something price related on your website now. And there's ways to do it without listing item by item what everything costs. Okay, let's move on to trend number 2. So this is coming from Forrester. It was their 2026 predictions, the race to trust and value. This was published right before Thanksgiving, November 24th, so super fresh. Several 2026 outlooks say the real race isn't for attention, it's for trust and value. I feel like they were listening to our last panel. As buyers use AI to fact-check claims, compare vendors, and sniff out BS, the prediction is that trust becomes the main competitive moat, especially in high-stakes or regulated categories. The firms are basically saying in 2026, trusted beats loud in go-to-market motions. So, crystal ball or BS? And Jenny, I want you to go first.
This one's crystal ball. I mean, if you tune into the December episode, we were all talking about this. And I think that as we're looking at going forward, there's going to be this pull for human to human connection and trust and that relational aspect that maybe gets lost in the AI age. And so bringing that back and having that be part of, your go-to-market motions and how do you do that is so, so important. So you're going to want to show your work. You're going to want to publish your policies, publish your price, like we were saying, and really close the loop for people to help show that you're ready to build that trust with your customers. And while you are going to automate some stuff, you have to make sure that the people behind it are coming through and that there is opportunity to actually connect with people. And that's where the real winners are going to be.
Okay, Dave, crystal ball or BS? I feel like I could already know everybody's answers, but go ahead.
Yeah, this is a crystal ball for sure. It's in the world of AI where so many things can be manufactured, right? Authenticity and trust is going to be huge. In fact, if you take a look at it from the buyer's perspective, when they're shopping vendors, they're going to be asking things like, do you understand my problem? Do you have the solutions to solve my problem? And 3, can you do what you say you can do? I mean, Sean, in last month's episode, you talked about how case studies have really helped. So that type of material builds that trust and really helps buyers understand that, yeah, you can actually do what you say you can do. So trust is absolutely the new currency. I mean, I grew up in the Gary Vaynerchuk world of like, I'm a day trader of attention. That's going away. And it's really about trust now.
Oh, boy. All right, Sean, you're up.
Yeah, crystal ball, absolutely. It's the pendulum swings, all the hype of AI, and now it's what can we trust? And AI is suspicious. I see these Facebook reels. I'm like, no. And so, it now seems old fashioned, social proof. It's not just case studies and testimonials, but writing thought leadership content. So it becomes self-evident that the problems of the markets you serve and, showing examples of how you solved them in the past. And then you have that human interaction so that one-on-one, you can form a relationship potentially if it's a prospect both ways. So I think that the pendulum has swung in AI. It's going to be coming back to trust, authenticity, in-person stuff, supplemented by remote. I think that's going to be the next area of focus. I love what Jenny was saying, to provide you with clarity, who you can trust, what's the right solution for you, how it compares with other things you might consider. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that authenticity, I've noticed that the more and more the AI video gets really good, the more I get better performance out of like, my cell phone's nowhere near me. Otherwise, I'd use it as a prop. Like, hey, I had an idea, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then like minimal editing. I want to make sure the lighting looks good. Okay. But other than that, like, so I think, yes, authentic stuff. What can we actually trust? So Forrester got it right, or maybe they were Captain Obvious too. Whatever. Okay, so trend number 3. I'm sorry, I'm so mean. I said I was gonna be nice. I can't help it.
They can take it.
Reframe is so honest, Summer. You're so honest.
Sure. Yes, I'm not mean. I'm
Your
honestly, I'm
authenticity is
very
off the
nice.
charts.
Yes.
Nice.
You can't trust me. I'm not BSing, right? Oh, good Lord. Okay, so we've got sales and marketing folks here. And by the way, I didn't mention this in the beginning or even the last panel was like, here is living proof that sales and marketing can get along. You have your loud and proud sales leader here. And my top collaborators were marketers this year, and that is not BS at all. So that was funny. The first episode that I did of the podcast was how to work better with sales and marketing, and it is still a top performer, even though it was me talking into my iPhone. So we're going to talk about GenAI in sales and marketing. We are not just going to beat up AI today. So this is coming from McKinsey. So Pass Forward, the modern rethinking of marketing's core, published November 19th, 2025. So very fresh. And we're borrowing also from that Forrester that dropped at the end of October. So on one hand, CMOs and CROs are planning to ramp up their GenAI investments for content, campaign execution, and enablement in 2026. It makes sense. Leverage the technology. On the other hand, Forrester is warning that ungoverned GenAI will destroy billions in value as teams chase volume. More content, more outreach without clear revenue impact. The prediction is that the winners will be the ones who treat AI as part of a governed system to pipeline and retention and not as a shiny object. And as we say over here, no bad outbound at scale. So crystal ball or BS, and Dave, you get to go first here.
I'm going to call it crystal ball on this one. And how I kind of boiled the Forrester argument down is quality over quantity. It really is about producing quality content. And you've heard me say it before about you got to stop with the whole marketing fluff. AI doesn't like it. It doesn't read it. It doesn't digest it. It doesn't help the users that it's answering the buyer's questions. So yes, I think AI should be part of the entire sales and marketing system, where there's content creation or reviewing RFPs or anything along those lines. But yeah, it needs some clear governance process around it.
Yeah. Hey, I've hated fluff for years, so am I a robot? All right, Sean, go ahead. Crystal ball or BS?
Well, I'd say it's crystal ball, but it's already happening. So
yes, Captain Obvious.
It's, in the old days, 2 years ago, used to be volume could be a differentiator for you and could lead to some pretty strong Google rankings. But that's no longer the case because volume is no longer a differentiator because you can have AI produce it all. So, and what is it going to produce? Ungoverned crap. It always starts out sounding good. But then you start to read it and then you start to have weird thoughts, just like it does. And so it can't be ungoverned. I mean, we've create content for ourselves and our clients, and we've experimented with content. It can create decent amount of content if you really gear it towards your content, not let it run wild on the web. So we've uploaded transcripts, things that we've worked on, had to compare things, make suggestions, do some limited content creation. It does better, but the quality of an intern, someone that doesn't really understand the material, but something that's quickly working through it. So you still have to manage it, edit it. Any good writer needs a good editor, whether it's AI or human. And so ungoverned can be an absolute disaster. There are many instances of this, like the ungoverned Twitter account that became quickly a white supremacist and what
Yeah.
so forth. If you're letting it run wild over tweets, yeah, you can only imagine, what it's going to
Yeah.
do. But same if you just let it go on the web, because it has ways it's trying to determine authority and authenticity, but it really doesn't have great ways to compare that. In time, I'm sure it will get better. But so and anyone that thinks, oh, I don't need, humans to write this stuff, you just let AI do it. We found that professional writers, people on my team, others that we've experienced, can do it faster than AI. AI can pump it out faster, but if you have to edit it and go through it and fact check it and run Grammarly over it, Grammarly is a great tool for. That's a good way to leverage AI as you're writing or to review something. It's catching all kinds of stuff that we might not have caught in the past, but it's not creating it from scratch. So long story short, yeah, if you let it run wild, you know, be prepared to suffer the consequences. But it can be a powerful tool to help you do what you do better. Like any form of automation, automate the grunt work, the
Yes.
repetitive, monotonous, time consuming stuff. That's what automation has always been good at doing. And so is AI.
Yes. I feel like, Jenny, you're next up, and he teed it up just perfectly for you.
Yes. I mean, obviously, crystal ball. Here, Gen AI is going to kind of evolve from the side project or the side thing that people and companies are doing to being fully integrated into a growth team's workflow. But you need that governance, you need guardrails, you need a clear link to revenue. And the way that I get some of my posts to actually come out closer to me is training it on stuff the human Jenny, has written. You can download all of your LinkedIn data, you can upload that, and it can go off that. You can upload all of your past thought leadership and work and all of that. And you can actually have a custom GPT or a special notebook in Notebook LM. There's a lot of ways to do it and get it pretty close to your actual voice. Don't ever copy paste it. You gotta edit it, like Sean was talking about. But also, everyone always comes to me like, wow, you must do everything with AI. And I don't. Like, yes, I run this global community all about AI and elevating women's voices. And we just released this AI board governance compass. And so there's a nice little visual with like 16 different elements. And everyone's like, what AI tool did you use? And I was like, oh no, I can't trust it with that. I did that myself, old school in Canva. Like, you didn't use the magic tool? No. It's way too much text, way too much things that like need to be just right. And so it's finding the right job in your team for AI to do and the right stuff to keep for yourself. So if you're going to be using AI and putting it in your process, tie it to your revenue, tie it to your outcomes, tie it to your metrics. That's how you win.
Yeah. No. I think it might have been end of 24, maybe early 25, when we're starting to talk about, oh, you need a human in the loop, but nobody really talked about what that meant because we were still figuring this out. I like human-led, AI doing the grunt work, like I think Sean said, and then the humans got to review it. So yeah, I think that this is either it's Crystal Ball or Captain Obvious. Yeah, Forrester and McKinsey, they totally nailed it. Okay, so for the last one, we're going to spend a little bit more time on this one, riffing back and forth, because this is alignment. We know that's my buzzword. If I had a Spotify Wrapped for LinkedIn, okay, we know what it's going to look like, right? So this is coming from the fast forward from McKinsey again. Again, it was published November 19th of 25. And also their State of Consumer Trends 25 that came out in the middle of the year, June 28th. Underneath all the AI headlines, a quieter through line shows up. Growth is coming from aligned go-to-market teams, not just more spend or more tools. Yes. The argument is that if sales, marketing, and customer success aren't working from a shared narrative, metrics, and process. None of the 2026 trends actually move the needle. Yikes. Alignment becomes the real growth lever, not just a we should do it. So again, we've got sales and marketing fully aligned here on this panel. I love that. So I kind of know where we're going to vote, but let's look at some lessons and the nuance. So Jenny, why don't you go first?
Absolute
Crystal ball or BS? Is alignment
Absolute
BS?
crystal ball. I mean, Summer, you've been saying this ever since I've known you. And I think that this is one of those things that no matter what the trend is, no matter what the hot thing is, when we're going to be, fast forward a couple years when we're all excited about quantum or whatever's next, we're still going to need alignment. And if sales, marketing, customer success, engineering, if you don't all have the same narrative, the same data, and the same definition of success, AI can't save you. If your data is siloed, if marketing is keeping all their data here and sales is keeping their data here, no AI can handle that. And so when I'm working with clients, I talk about making one set of leading indicators, one set of OKRs, and figuring out which pieces of that workflow that you want to be having AI help with. And so when you're doing this, it's really about making sure there's that relation on your teams, the relational aspect. And so we're going to see this a lot this year, and I think in years to come.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'm gonna zip it and go last because I have a bit to say about this. So Sean, why don't you go next, please?
Well, yeah, sales and marketing alignment, that's always been fundamentally important. So again, it's already happening, or it already should be happening. It's just going to be more evident that you have sales and marketing and customer service misalignment with AI when it starts to hallucinate based on what you're feeding it. Because basically, I've always looked at marketing is macro selling, one to many. Selling is micro selling, one to one or one to a small group of influencers, decision makers. And of course, customer service is serving customers and clients. So your messaging has to be aligned from top to bottom. And it needs to be created with input from all key people that are customer facing, or else humans hallucinate as to what they think the needs of the market are if they're not tied in with what the requirements of the market is. And if you're selling through channel partners, remember them because they have requirements too, not just your end users. So that's where, we're big fans of, Donald Miller's building a story brand. It's that brand story messaging. It's got to be built together and communicated together and evolve together from marketing to sales to customer service, leadership, operations, engineering, all those that have influence into it. So that's always been critical. And if there's misalignment, it's because there's not communication happening, and it's usually because someone at the top doesn't see value in it. So that's always been critically important, and never more than now.
Yeah, agree 100%. And again, okay, Dave, your take, please.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I'm going to say Captain Obvious, because I think all of us have been probably preaching this for a decent amount of time, right? But I mean, it's a hard thing to do, getting 3 different siloed departments that have different KPIs and different organizational goals and how they get measured, kind of work together towards a common goal. So, I mean, yes, it's Captain Obvious, but this is also an organizational change. And Sean, you're right, it comes down from the top. If the top management doesn't see the necessity of this, it's just not going to get done because everyone people behave in the way they're rewarded. Marketing gets rewarded in certain ways, sales, customer service. But in the age of AI, marketing, Sean, I loved what you said, is a one to many. Honestly, marketing, we don't talk to customers. Who does?
Probably should.
Sales, probably should, but sales and customer service people do. Sales and customer service, they talk to clients and prospects every single day. They know, they're the feet on the street. They know what the problems are. They know what questions are being asked. So, having a siloed organization where you can't talk to my salespeople because they're too busy doing whatever. How is marketing supposed to write the content for AI to answer the buyer's questions when they don't know the buyer's questions? And of course, you can go out and ask ChatGPT what they are, but ChatGPT only knows what you give it. And if you just say, go find me buyer's questions, it's going to go use its own trading database and it's going to do some RAG search and it's going to come back with some
go to Reddit.
common doodaddy thing. That doesn't help your specific buyers. So yeah, the sales, marketing, customer support, product engineers, the people in product development, service development, they solve for a specific customer problem. They are the people you need to be interviewing, transcript it, and then shove it into ChatGPT or an AI so you can, take out the salient points. But yeah, if these organizations aren't aligned, you're going to have miscommunication. Marketing is going to say one thing because they can't talk to sales. Salespeople is going to say another. And then if you take a look at it from the buyer's perspective, what are they going to say? Well, I read on your website it's this, but now talking to you is actually that. I don't know about you, but that would piss me off. So
And erode that trust that we were
yeah,
talking about earlier.
Yes.
right on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fastest way to lose trust. Yes. Okay. So this was Captain Obvious also. Dear Lord, we do not have time in this panel. So I'm just going to send any listener to my website. Before Dave told me to stop blogging, I wrote a crap ton of blogs about this topic, like all throughout 2025. So a couple of high points. What I noticed in 2025 was people coming with a new cool tool to help them. And this is a tool that only marketing uses. Well, this is a tool that only customer success uses. And I saw some siloed data, maybe unintentionally, which makes things a lot more messy. You don't have clarity from the top because we're pulling these reports from where and who has access to it. It got a little bit messy. So I think we need to dial that in. And I love talking to everybody within the organization. The folks in implementation, they know what people are excited about when they sign up. And that is gold for marketers. The people in service or delivery, they know how people are actually using the product. And that is gold for sales demos. And then, we also have to make sure that the product team doesn't start developing cool crap that they think is neat that no one cares about. So yeah, we definitely all need to be aligned. And it comes from the top. I am super hard on CEOs in that tough love type of way. You can't be like, oh, that's just Jimmy. That's how he is. No, he needs to go. Yeah, so this was Captain Obvious. So since we have a little bit of time, sometimes people on the show get the gift of the question I didn't prepare you for. So since we're recording this in December, you guys get a gift. Merry holidays. Let's have each of you give a little tip from your universe on how quarreling siblings can get along a little bit better. And Sean, I've known you the longest, so I'm going to pick on you first. Sorry.
Quarreling siblings in terms of marketing and sales?
Internally, not your kids. You yell at your kids.
Well,
internally, the department heads who don't get along. What can we do? Because a lot of the people who listen are CEOs and founders. So what can they do to get those folks to get along? One tip.
Well, to my mind, it's really about strategy and goal setting. Where do we want to be? Where are we? What's the gap? How are each department or group going to help us address that? The shared goals, critical. We've got to be measured in the same way in terms of whether it's revenue, EBITDA, new customer acquisition, retention. These are all things that are critically important to a business. So maybe getting rid of the artificial KPIs or that are more indicators than really key performance indicators, like overall website traffic. Well, how much of that is, automated, or it's just, it's not prospect traffic. So what about the lead generation? Well, we all know that there's marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads. So it's really about sales qualified leads, because otherwise you're going to say, marketing's going to say, look at all the leads we generated, and sales is going to say they're all crap. And then marketing's going to say they don't know how to sell to all the leads we generated. And then it's the death spiral. So really a level above that is like sales qualified leads, what converts, what's the ROI of all the efforts that went into it? Are we moving the needle? And as I mentioned on a previous podcast, that CEO needs to be measured on growth of EBITDA over time or something in that direction, or the overall business value. Yeah. So, and they do have to, if you've got somebody who's always been doing it that way, sounds like you've got a culture issue. Yeah. And maybe you need to read a book like, Leaders Eat Last or something like that, to help you realize that, what does the leader really need to do? How do they need to be measured? And then making sure everybody's aligned to the same goals.
Yeah. Thank you. Dave, one thing from your universe, how can we all get along a little better?
Sean basically said it from my point of view. It's making sure that, it's not, you don't manage activities or like marketing KPIs versus sales KPIs. Both of these organizations are revenue generating departments, right? So the shared goal shouldn't be like, how many MQLs or SQLs did you deliver or close? It's really like, what's the revenue? How many new customers do we get overall? And hold both departments accountable to that. And that way you don't have the finger pointing game at each other. Just like Sean, you said, I've seen that a lot too. I gave you a bunch of leads. You can't close. Your leads are crap. You can't generate good quality. You need to avoid that quarrel and just say, look, as a CEO, I'm going to measure you guys on new clients acquired, period, or new MMR or new revenue. Whatever that metric's going to be is going to be shared between those two departments. And
I like that.
then go send the two siblings off and quarrel about how they're actually going to do it, but manage the outcome. Don't manage how they do it. Leave that up to the department heads, but give them that shared goal.
Yes, I like that. Okay, Jenny, go ahead. What can we do to get along a little better?
So I agree with everything that's been said. I think at some point you have to just stop pointing fingers. Like whatever happened, happened. Here's where we're at. And just fresh page of the book. Let's go. Let's get that shared goal, go together. And honestly, it's going to sound a little hokey. Do a team offsite, get everyone together in person, do something together because there is something about being in person and you can kind of maybe understand a little bit better or some of the stuff that might get lost in translation on Slack. But really that team bonding, I think, is super important. Now, it doesn't have to be all the time. And I actually suggest doing it during work hours. No one, we all have lives. We're busy. Don't do a, late dinner or happy hour. Do something in the middle of the day. Go do an activity together and get off the screen. I think that's super important to getting the quarreling siblings on the same page.
I like that you took it there because then you get to see them as a human and have a little fun. I like that. So then I'm the lone sales voice in the room, which is totally fine. I have a couple of things. I'm going to be as punchy as I can. Number one, sales should not treat marketing as a provider and tell them, like, prescribe. What has worked best for me is, hey, I'm having this challenge. How can we work through it? And then some of the coolest content comes out of that. I also will encourage every sales leader to make sure that when you land a huge account or you crush quota or whatever, you absolutely have to recognize the efforts of the other people that helped with that. What I will say is that, like, marketing gets their attaboy. This is a really dated reference, but if you think about basketball, Sean, think about the Bulls. What's his name? Michael Jordan. Like, you got to give Scottie Pippen his trophy too, okay? Because Michael Jordan couldn't have been Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. So I always see marketing as my Scottie Pippen. Like, they always have to get their attaboy because let's pretend the lead came from your referral partner that you curated yourself. There is no way in this era that person did not, at a minimum, click on the website before they called you. And so if the website's a hot mess, they don't care that CPA told them to call you. They're not calling. It can't be, well, this is a lead I generated on my own. This is mine entirely. Like, there's none of that. With tough love in my heart, I got to tell sales folks, check your ego at the door. You are not going to make friends patting yourself on the back and taking victory laps with yourself. So there's my take. All righty, let's see. We have to wrap it up. So this was fun. I loved that we started with Crystal Ball or BS and ended up with it was all basically Captain Obvious. So that's funny. Are the trend predictors also looking in a rearview mirror? I don't know. Interesting. Thank you all again for joining me and sharing your insights. I hope folks learned something again. If you're listening from your car or from the gym, I appreciate you too. Let's crush 2026. I will see you all next week.